Bills Mafia, what's going on? Happy wild card playoff win victory Monday. I am joined, as always, on Mondays by my guy, Peter DiBiase. Peter, instant reaction to yesterday's game. How you feeling, brother?
Feeling good. How could you not be feeling good? Even if they won 3-0, you would feel at least some sort of happiness that they won a wild card round game and they moved on to the divisional round. But no, that was like one wild card weekend outside of the snooze fest that we saw between the Patriots and the Chargers. That was a great wild card weekend if you just love watching the NFL, because that was awesome. And obviously right now, Steelers Texans are about like 15 minutes away from kicking off. That might be a little bit of a lower scoring game, but Saturday and Sunday were terrific games for football. And the Bills might have been, if not one or two best games that we saw this weekend. It was terrific. You had everything. You had defensive plays. You had some iffy calls going against the Bills at times. You had Josh Allen turn into Superman. It was awesome. They found a way to win a road playoff game. They were underdogs. There was a lot of doubters, especially in the national media, but it was a great game. It felt good. And that Trey White defensive play at the end of the game was awesome. So, and shout out to Trey White. He also played great. But no,
100%.
Awesome game.
100%. And I selfishly said this last night to one of my friends that called me after the game. I said seeing Trey White be successful on this team again after everything that he's battled through with the 2 injuries and going to play for Baltimore and just not looking like himself, coming back and just being that veteran depth piece, and then he steps in when Harrison gets injured. It made my heart feel good to see Trey get out there, because I know how much the city means to him. I know how much the fans mean to him, and I think he knows how much he means to us and the Bills fan base. But you know what's funny? You mentioned the refereeing from last night's game, and I don't want to go too much on this, but there was so much stuff in the media this week about the refereeing crew and how it's been favorable to the Bills, especially in the postseason. That crew and that head referee officially, like, there was so much stuff about how they were pro Bills going into that game. And then you saw the calls. You saw that when the clock ran out on that, when they were trying to spike the ball, it was clearly bad. There was the drop pass from Cooks was the ball never, I don't think it still hit the ground.
I never saw it touch the ground. I thought it was the same thing as the Jacoby Myers catch that they ruled a catch from the first half. Like, I thought that was early in the first. I thought that was.
And I immediately tweeted out, like, and this has been a conversation I think all of us have had for about 15 years now, is the league needs to find the smartest, intelligent, most, I don't know, diehard football fans and get them in a room, the most intelligent nerds, and say, tell us what a catch is going to be going forward. And then, like, let's look at things that were called catches that were not called catches. Like, because all the games this weekend, there was plays that you're like, I don't know. Like, the fact he fell out of bounds and then it moved once he hit the ground, but he got 2 feet in. Is he not out of bounds at that point? Like, why do you have to control the ball as you go out of bounds? Like, you have it, you hit the ground out of bounds. Like, it doesn't matter. You're not in the field of play. But
the fact that we've watched football since we were kids, right?
Yeah,
we both watched football since we were kids, and I still have. And I'm not going to say I'm like I know the most about football than ever, but like I think I know a good amount about football. Like, I don't know what a catch is half the time, and that's a problem. Like, I know what a field goal is. I know what a touchdown. Not sometimes that you don't know what a touchdown. I know what happens when you get a first down. Like, you could show me a catch, and I'm like, I think that's a catch, and they might just not rule it a catch, which is crazy to have still in 2026 the NFL.
I just think that the Brandon Cooks, like, if you go and look at what the NFL has listed now as what a catch is, has to make a football move, check. Has to have control the ball all the way through the process, check. The ball never hit the ground. And the NFL touted this whole replay assist stuff. And even in the booth, they're like, yeah, that's a catch. Like, even the NFL officiating guy in the booth was like, yeah. It's a catch. Like, the ball never hit the ground. And even if it hits the ground, we've seen in the past couple of weeks, if it hits the ground, as long as you have control of it, it doesn't matter.
As long as you don't use the ground to create control. And that was also a huge swing because the Bills had to end up punting.
Right.
And
that's my point.
And it almost cost them 3 points off another missed call. So it was a huge
I digress on the whole refereeing thing. I don't want to get into it. It was a pretty dicey game all around. I don't want to be one of those the game was close because of all the botch calls. But let's talk about Josh Allen, can we? And I feel like he's probably gotten his flowers for the last 24 hours now for his performance because of the slander, I guess, that we've heard, not just about him, but about how bad this team is, right? It's the worst team that Josh Allen's had entering the postseason in the last, since 2020, right? The supporting cast isn't good enough. The Jaguars, if they can stop the run, the Bills are in trouble because then they're going to make Josh Allen be one-dimensional, and he can't be one-dimensional because he doesn't have the pieces around him, all this stuff. But once the fourth quarter hit, I don't know what happens to Josh Allen when it's the fourth quarter, honestly. And I don't want to sound like a homer here, but I don't know what happens once the fourth quarter hits and the cool, calm, collected Josh Allen appears after the last 3 quarters of Josh Allen trying to it seems like sometimes doing too much, not so much yesterday, but sometimes just trying to do too much, running around too much. He felt like he was never not in control of the offense in the fourth quarter. It felt like he was taking easy things. We hate the bubble screens, but the Bills were using it as an extension of the run game yesterday because they couldn't get the run game going.
Yeah.
He was taking easy passes, which opened up that pass to Cooks down the middle of the field, which Peter and me talked before we came on. I don't know how that pass was completed. I'm not standing for Josh Allen right now. I've seen a few different people break it down online, some really good breakdowns about how Josh read the coverage, read where the corner was going to be, threw it flat-footed. It was all arm, guy's arm in his face, anticipated where Cooks was going to be, and it's perfect. So talk to me, Peter, because we've talked about Josh Allen a ton, as most Bills content creators do. Talk to me how you felt as this game was progressing, seeing where it was getting to, I thought it was going to be whoever had the ball last was going to win this game, the way they were going back and forth. Tell me about Josh Allen and tell me what your thought process was as we were heading into the fourth quarter. Where was your head at?
Well, you mentioned the fourth quarter. Like the first 3 quarters, I thought he played kind of not within himself, but in the sense that he kind of took what the defense gave him, right? Like the first 3 quarters, the offense was a little bit hit or miss. They had 13 points through 3 quarters. They scored 14 points in 1 quarter, right? So obviously they had more points in the fourth quarter than they did for 3 quarters. I thought at times in the first 3 quarters, they kind of were still trying to run the ball, right? They were still trying to run the ball because that's what they've been very good at running the ball this year. James Cook leads the league in rushing yards. So you're going to lean on what works the best. But CBS was throwing up graphics of like, usually the best run defense wins against the best rush offense. It's just kind of how it's been. It's not always the case, but they pulled up a graphic and it's been more leaning defense than it has offense. So I thought the Bills in the first 3 quarters were trying to find a way to run the ball, push the pace a little, and try to find a way to kind of do what they've done all year offensively. And like you had a couple drives early on that kind of got stalled out. Like after the Shaq Thompson interception, they went 3 and out, led to 3 points. Like they settled for a couple field goals, and it wasn't anything special offensively. You kick into the gear in the fourth quarter, the Bills are down 4. And all of a sudden, Josh is like, okay, I got to go win this football game. So, and I don't think he did anything crazy. Like, he didn't like, in the sense of we've seen him like run by guys, hurdle guys, stiff arm 6 guys. Like, I thought he just took a couple more. I think he was just more aggressive. Like, in the first 3 quarters, it felt like he was like, I just don't want to lose this game in the first 3 quarters. Like, I don't want to be out of this game come fourth quarter. And in the fourth quarter, he's like, well, if I keep doing this, we're just going to lose the game anyway. Like, that's just like, if I go away without trying to throw it around or go gunslinger mode, we're just going to lose the football game. And we don't want to be talking about right now the Bills were aggressive enough offensively. Like that would be a horrible talking point on a Monday night if they lost. But I thought he was like in the fourth quarter, I just thought he kind of just expanded his horizon in the sense of like, okay, let me push the ball more downfield. You mentioned the Brandon Cooks throw. You mentioned the Dalton Kincaid touchdown pass. Like those are the kind of the balls that he kind of pushed the pace a little more and pushed the tempo. And I thought that's what we didn't see for 3 quarters. And I thought that was kind of their going point. Like he had a 24-yard pass early in the fourth quarter to Dawson Knox.
Yeah, that Knox pass was legit. Like I don't know how the arc of that pass was just perfect to get it right into Dawson Knox. It was beautiful.
Yeah, so I just thought he just kind of it was if you look at it, it's only like 3 passes It's the Knox pass, the Kincaid pass, and the Cooks pass, where he kind of expands his horizon in the sense of he pushed the ball down the field. That's all you really need to do. Like, you don't need to keep taking shots over and over again. Like, he took a shot earlier in the first half to 𝐬𝐮. 𝐬𝐮 was left open on the right side, and 𝐬𝐮 made a nice catch, and he made a nice play. So that was an explosive play. We talked about it all. We talked about it in the beginning of the show, like the Cooks pass that was overturned, but that was a deep shot. He had another deep shot to Cooks that he didn't complete. But no, I thought for 4 quarters he was in control. Let me ask you this, Dave. Is it crazy to say that I think he can be better than what we saw on Sunday? Like, I think he can be better than that. I really do. Because I thought he played really well. And I'm not knocking him at all. That's not like
no,
he was bad. I think there's another, like, not another level, but like I think there's another potential step that he can take in the game.
I've been saying since the beginning, since training camp, that I feel like so we talk about quarterbacks' ceilings, right? We talk about, like, we know who this person is. Like, for instance, Trevor Lawrence. I think now we know who he is. I'm not saying he'll never win a Super Bowl, but I'm thinking, like, there's quarterbacks that are compared to Josh Allen. Like, I think we know what their ceiling is. Like, Drake May, we don't know what his ceiling is. Because he's been in the league 2 years. Bo Nix, we don't know what his ceiling is. I don't honestly think that Josh Allen has a ceiling. I feel like the reports that came out this week of him doing the self-scouting.
Yeah.
And we often hear about what he does in the offseason, about, like, he finds one thing to work on, whether it's mechanics, ball placement, whatever it is, his eyes, how his body is, his feet, whatever. I feel like you bring up a great point. I feel like even completing 80+% of your passes, I feel like there was still some stuff. He left some plays out there still. And I feel like if this team is going to be successful long after this season's over, I feel like he has to have skill position players besides Dalton Kincaid and James Cook that can keep his ceiling rising, if that makes any sense. I feel like next season, because we're watching Josh Allen play with Dalton Kincaid, which a lot of people still don't know, James Cook, who everybody knows, Khalil Shakir, which still not a lot of people know who he is, and then a bunch of other guys that these national media people have no idea who they are.
Brandon Cooks.
And you're asking him to get shut down in the run game, and then you're asking him to go out there and then throw for almost 300 yards with these guys. Brandon Cooks, who wasn't even on the team 2 months ago, right? A guy who's 31 who was a cast-off from the Saints because I'm pretty sure they thought he aged out. So he comes to the Bills, and he's been massive for this offense.
He had 3 catches for 58 yards. It should be like 4 catches for like 85 yards, because whatever that yardage was on that overturn call. Like,
yeah, but Brandon Cook's addition to this team has just, there's that guy that you have to take, like, you have to
guard him when he goes deep.
Yeah, if you're the defense, you have to acknowledge he's on the field. So that warrants some coverage. Like, the safeties might move back, so that might open up things underneath, which the Bills haven't had.
Yeah.
Like, that was who Joshua Palmer was supposed to be. That was who Keon Coleman was supposed to be. A guy that is not going to burn you, but he can get deep and create separation. And that's who we thought Palmer was going to be. Unfortunately, he's on IR. That's why they brought Gabe Davis back, because Josh trusts Gabe when they were throwing deep passes to Gabe when he was here. So I don't know. I think I'm surprised that this game kind of went the way that it was, but I'm not surprised, because for whatever happens in the postseason for Josh Allen, he becomes a guy that is just kind of controls the game. They may not win the game, but Josh Allen is not the reason why they lose the game, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't want to bring up 13 seconds and some other games where people can say, well, Josh Allen had the ball with 3 minutes left. He didn't go get it done. There's a lot more to it than that. And yesterday, it just felt like one of those games where the run game's not working. He's going to have to put the cape on at some point. And then you saw those 2 scoring drives. That last scoring drive, it was like the Bills got the ball with 4 minutes left. I'm like, I think that's too much time, because I feel like how they just went down the field on the drive before, I feel like Josh is going to go down and score. Hopefully they can figure this out. Let me ask you this too, because I know this is a huge talking point. And I know I kind of went long on that take, but how do you feel about them scoring as fast as they did after they didn't call the tush push a touchdown, because I've seen a lot of people talking about, well, then you should have kneeled it when there was a minute left.
Well,
and then you burn like 30 seconds, and then you hope that on 2nd and goal from the then probably the 3-yard line that you can get a touchdown. So like, what's your take on it?
Well, I don't know if there is like the right answer, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know if there's a good answer for this. If, let's say, the people that are arguing that they should have took a knee, right? Let's play. Let's say, what happens if they take a knee? One, if you take a knee, you're losing yards. So you were at the 1, you're probably going back to the 2, potentially the 3. So all of a sudden, it went from 1st and goal at the 1-yard line to 2nd goal at the 3-yard line, because you took a knee and you lost 2 yards. And all of a sudden, you go away from running a QB sneak, which has worked a ton. Like, you don't run the QB sneak at the 3-yard line on second down. Secondly, what if all of a sudden you're back on 2nd down after taking the knee at the 3-yard line and you get a false start? And all of a sudden, it's 2nd and goal from the 8-yard line.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you're like, holy crap, we just screwed this up. Right. So in order to take a knee, you have to lose yards. Like, no one just drops. Like, he's not going to fall on on Connor McGovern.
Right.
Like, he's just not going to like lay on the back of Connor McGovern and like slowly go down. Like, I don't think people understand, like, when you take a knee, you take a step back. Like, it's you don't just go. Like, Connor McGovern's not the one taking the knee. Like, Connor McGovern's not just falling on the ball and you get the ball at the 1-yard line again. That's not how this works. There's no right answer. And I would hate to be in that position as Joe Brady / Sean McDermott and / Josh Allen, because Josh Allen obviously has an input in all of this.
Right.
But like, we knock these coaches a ton, and people are very heavy critical of Sean McDermott, heavy critical of other head coaches throughout the NFL. That's not an easy decision. Like, it's not Madden, where if I was playing you in Madden, Dave, let me just take the knee. Yeah, okay, it's Madden. I can take the knee, but we're talking about real life scenarios, because all of a sudden you take the knee and it's 2nd and goal at the 3-yard line. One, you lose a play, so you have one less play to score a touchdown. Secondly, you can't really run the QB sneak. Well, I guess you could, but you would have to probably run it again. The Jaguars know what's coming. And then what if what if you fumble the ball? Or what if you get a false start? Or what if you get a 10-yard holding penalty?
Yep.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it's like, why are we at the 13-yard line? Why are we at the 12-yard line and 2nd down? And all of a sudden you lose the game. Like, we would sit here be talking about what the heck did they do there? Why did they do that? There's no right answer there. But obviously, if the Bills ended up losing that game like in OT and the Jaguars kicked the field goal and the Bills lost in OT, that would be a talking point. It's really hard to just sit here on a Monday night in a chair and tell me you should have took a knee. Like, I don't like those. Like, if you're going to argue that, you have to also see the other side. I think people, when they like, why don't you just take a knee? Well, you got to lay out the scenarios of what happens if you take the knee. You score a touchdown, you can still get a stop and you're up 3. As long as you don't give up a touchdown, technically you still can go to OT and win the football game. It's really hard for me to just sit here and be like, yeah, you should have took a knee. It's not that easy of a decision. There is decisions in the NFL. Like, let me paint this picture for you. I know I'm going long on this. If the Bills were down 2, then you take a knee, because you trust they were down 2.
You're going to kick a field goal.
Yes. If the Bills scored that would have been bad, because you trust them making a 25-yard chip shot field goal. You just trust that. And if that doesn't work, then you didn't deserve to win anyway. Like, if that doesn't work, that doesn't happen. But if you're down 2, you're down 1. If a field goal wins the game, that has to be the last play of the game, and you go win the football game. But they were down 4. They had to score a touchdown.
Right.
Like, they had to score a touchdown. That answer's no question there, because there's not a right answer. It worked out, but it's hard for me just to sit here and be like, they should have just took a knee.
To me, when you have a chance to score a touchdown, now there's different scenarios, like you said.
Sorry to put it out there. The Jaguars had, how many timeouts did they have after that? None?
0. They had none.
That's also a factor in the sense of
100%.
scoring, because the Jaguars have no timeouts. Like, that plays a factor in my opinion.
I think a lot of Bills fans were like, well, dude, they got a kicker that could kick a 70-yard field goal. They just need to complete one pass to midfield and the game's going to be over. But to me, this isn't a game, like you said, this isn't a game where you see running backs sometimes when the other team is purposely trying to let them score because they want to get the ball back. This isn't one of those situations where you're going to go and slide down and you can just kneel and end the game, or kick a field goal.
There's no room.
When you can score a touchdown, you can score a touchdown. Now, if the Bills score a touchdown there and there's a minute or 54 seconds left, whatever it is, and the Bills defense gives up enough yards to tie the game on a field goal, then that's on the Bills. I'm sorry. That's on the defensive side of the ball. Like, I understand where people are like, we shouldn't have to count on the Bills defense. We've seen this story before. 13 seconds always freaks people out and like PTSD from that. But
of course, I get that.
I mean, I understand too, like how people would see it that way. But to me, what you score points when you can score points, and you were in a back and forth slugfest in that second half. You just need to go and get points when you can get points. And the Bills had momentum at that point and had been pressuring Trevor Lawrence, not by like the pass rush, but he was not good yesterday.
No,
Trevor Lawrence was not good. He was missing open guys. He was misreading routes. The Bills should have had 4 or 5 interceptions. There was tip balls. Trevor Lawrence, I saw something today where he's like top 5 in passes batted down and tip balls and stuff like that. And it happened yesterday that Deion Walker got one. I know there was a couple other ones, but like, to me, like, Sean McDermott's a defensive-minded head coach, and if the Bills can't get a stop when they need to get a stop in an elimination-type game, then what are we even talking about? Go score points. You only had 20 points up to that point, so get the points when you can. So
you're also a penalty away from really messing that thing up.
Exactly, and
they're really messing it up.
And anything else could happen. Like, so say you take a knee, so now it's second and 3, we'll say.
It's a 3-yard line.
Second
2.5-yard line. Whatever.
So then you try to run the same play that Josh ran on his first rushing touchdown where it was the QB sneak and he kind of went around and he just ran through 5 guys. What happens if he fumbles? What happens if he fumbles out of the end zone? What if he's trying to cross the plane? Like a million different things could happen in that situation. So I think, to me, you just take the points there. You take the touchdown and you trust your defense, and it worked out. So,
and you also went up 3 and you didn't go up like 2 points. With a field goal, you get beaten on a field goal. At least if you go up 3, this is a bad way to play it like this, but you're assuming you're not giving up a touchdown with 50 seconds left and no timeouts. You're assuming because Jaguars are really playing for the field goal there. Like they're trying to get into field goal range, so you don't lose the game. And look, if they make a 68-yarder, they make a 68-yarder. But yeah, no, I think they made the right call. It worked out, but I think even if it didn't work out, they made the right call.
All right, so let's talk about James Cook. Obviously, we heard all week about how good the Jaguars' run defense was.
Yeah.
And I kind of went back and forth with it because I think Jonathan Taylor had 74 yards. That's the most a single rusher had on them all season. And I kind of went back and forth on it. I was thinking to myself, well, they're boat racing teams, right? They're scoring 30-plus points, so teams have to pass in the second half to try to catch up. So, yes, the rushing yards look down. But then when you dig into it more, you're like, okay, yards per carry and all this other stuff. And it was on display yesterday. The Bills could not do anything. James Cook couldn't consistently get the plays that we've seen him make all season long. So, Peter, does this concern you a little bit, knowing that the Bills are going to Denver? Denver has a really good defensive line. They're really good against the run. Does this concern you at all? Or do you think this might just be more of the same? Or do you think that this is an opportunity that the Bills might be able to get the ground game going? Like, what's your thoughts?
I don't know if it concerns me, but like, can the Bills like steal the Jaguars rush defense for a couple weeks? Like, that would be great because
be nice.
People talked about it all week and everyone was right. The Jaguars rush defense is legit. It's a really good rush defense. They didn't give up a single they didn't give up over 75 yards to a single running back all year, right? And they didn't against James Cook. James Cook had 46 yards. Obviously, Allen had 33. They had 79 yards total, but that was on 3 yards per carry. So their rush defense is really good. It's legit. But I think the Bills, what they could take away from this, because they're facing not as good of a rush defense, but a top 5 rush defense in the NFL, you could see what worked and what didn't work against a really good rush defense. Like, I think you can take, I know it's different personnel, it's probably a different scheme, it's all that fun stuff, but I think you can take away a lot from what you saw in the Jacksonville game and use it to your advantage in the Denver game, because you saw what didn't work, you can see what worked and all that kind of stuff, and you saw them try to adjust on the fly. I think for the first time we saw a lot of pitches to the right side to James Cook, because they tried to figure it out. Then they just kind of went away from it because they had to go away from it. And I respect them going away from it because they needed to in the fourth quarter, especially in the second half in the fourth quarter. But they tried to adjust. Not having maybe Ty Johnson kind of hurt them a little, but like a little bit of a different dimension at the running back position. They clearly did not trust Ray Davis after he fumbled the ball. And I understand that. Like I get Sean McDermott. He does not, when guys fumble, we saw James Cook rookie year against the Rams. When he fumbled, we didn't see James Cook again. It happens. When you fumble the ball and you give the ball to the other team and you limit the amount of possessions you get with Josh Allen, you're going to get punished for it. And look, he still returned kickoffs, but he was not touching the ball offensively. And I get that. Even though Ray Davis is, when he's gotten carries, he's been very good. So that could obviously change Saturday against Denver. But I think, not looking at in-depth scheme-wise, but I do think you can find a way to run the ball and take what worked and what didn't work against Jacksonville, against Denver. Dave, they're going to try to run the ball again. Saturday, they're going to try to run the ball again. It's fun to think about, if they're able to run the ball against Denver or just average 4.5 yards per carry compared to 3 yards per carry, what James Cook did, can this offense be even better? I think that's a fun little thing to think about.
I think too, you brought up the games on Saturday, right? And I want to talk about that for a second, but I just want a final, wrap it up in a bow on James Cook. I feel like you have James Cook, the run game's not working. I feel like this might be a good opportunity to use him in the passing game.
They probably should have went to that earlier. They did that with Shakir.
That's why I said the Shakir bubble screens were an extension of the run game, because they did it a lot of times on second down, and they needed 4 or 5 yards, and there was the last scoring drive. They did it on second down. They did it on third down. It didn't get the first down either time. But I mean, towards this game against Denver, we saw Joe Brady at times this year use James Cook in the passing game. Now, I don't know if that's on Josh actually in those games taking the checkdowns and seeing that James Cook just stands over there in the flat. But there's been times this year, there was times last year where they had designed pass plays for James Cook, whether it's that middle of the field kind of wheel route type deal that he does where he cuts into the middle. And that's where my head's at as far as how you would deploy James Cook against the Broncos if the run game's not working. He still needs to get touches. He's still your second best offensive player. So to me, that's what I would be looking for in this game coming up. But you talk about the Bills playing on Saturday, and I saw Tony Dungy put something out about how the postseason scheduling with the NFL and how they're doing all these playoff games, how it's extremely unfair to teams. And I'm not just talking about the Bills. There's other teams where, why do we have to have Monday Night Football for the postseason?
That really messes. You could have another Saturday at 1:00 game. You could have a Saturday at 1:00 game.
I feel like Saturday's formula was it Sunday's Sunday's formula was perfect. You had the early game, you had the later game, and then you had the prime time. Just do that on Saturday.
You had a normal NFL Sunday slate on a Sunday.
And what I think would be kind of cool is if you did, for the wild card round, you did NFC on one day and you did AFC on the other, so you can kind of see the brackets playing out as the day is progressing.
Well, you can also structure it that it's fair for all the AFC teams. They're all in the same rest outside of the teams that get a bye.
Yeah, it's
so because if you did that for the next weekend as well, if the Saturday teams let's say the AFC played Saturday, then the next weekend in the division round, all the AFC teams would play Saturday. So the 3 teams playing in the division round on that Saturday would get the same amount of rest. It's just the only team that gets the advantage would be the team that get a bye because they earned it and they got the 1 seed.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of people saying because Tony Dungy was putting in there that Denver gets they get the bye, and then they get the Bills. They're coming off a bye, and then they get the Bills on a short week.
And Seattle gets it with the 49ers as well.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of people were saying, "Well, just win the 1 seed." I'm like, that's not the point.
Well, the NFL can control this, and they can control how they do this.
It's a money grab. It's totally a money grab.
It's a network thing.
That's all it is. But you're risking injury. You're risking the Bills have to fly to Denver, which is not going to be fun because of the elevation and stuff like that. I don't know. I wanted to bring it up and get your take on it because I feel like they have to just do some things to kind of even the playing field. I understand if you're the 1 seed, you should have a bye. awesome. But like to have that team play the team that is having the least amount of rest just doesn't seem fair to me. So I saw a lot of people talking about the elevation stuff too, since I just kind of mentioned that. Did you know that the Wyoming's elevation is actually 2,000, I think it's 2,000 feet higher than Denver's?
Really? Did not
And
know
guess that's Josh Allen played football at Wyoming. So a lot of people were concerned about the Bills because Denver's been there for 3 weeks, 2 weeks now, practicing there in their elements. And then the Bills have to fly, home first last night from Jacksonville, and then they got to fly to Denver. So I just thought that was a cool
the counterpoint, not the counterpoint to the elevation, but the counterpoint to it, the bye is we have seen teams come out of the bye,
sluggish,
be a little lifeless, be a little sluggish, which it's unfortunate because the Bills are not a great first half team. They need to find a way to be a good first half team this week, because I think you can catch Denver not sleepwalking, because I do think Sean Payton's a really good head coach. Like, he's going to get the guys going and all that kind of stuff. But you can definitely get you can catch these type of teams early. Like we might see it with Seattle against San Fran on Saturday. And like you have Bo Nix, who's playing in his only second ever postseason game. The only other one was against this Bills team, and he was not good in that game. But there's a chance you could get him sleepwalking for a quarter and a half, and maybe the Bills find a way to like actually I thought they were fine in the first half yesterday, but like maybe actually like get rolling early, like 10-0 in the first half would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be nice to not have to rely on 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns like we've done all season long.
And you might still have to, based on how the game goes.
I've learned a hard lesson as a Bills fan. I've learned a hard lesson about how this team operates this season. Like at halftime, I'm usually like anxious, nervous, upset, what have you, unless there was a couple games this year, like the Jets and the Panthers game where it was over at halftime. But like I've finally learned with 2 or 3 weeks left in the regular season, just let it play out. Like it's like boxing matches go a certain amount of rounds because you just let them keep punching, let them keep fighting. It's 60 minutes, just to let it keep happening. And sure enough, the Josh Allen just keeps punching. And in the fourth quarter, the Bills just kept punching, made a defensive play to end the game. So let's talk about the Bills defense, because I feel lost in a lot of this. Josh Allen getting his flowers from everybody in the Bills side of the content creating world, but like the national media has been praising him as well. I feel like Sean McDermott deserves a hell of a lot of credit for yesterday. We've been on this Bills defense seemingly 2/3 of the season, I would say past Black Friday-ish, Thanksgiving, Black Friday-ish, around there. Like that we saw that, okay, the pass defense is getting really good. Like the secondary has been playing really well. The 4 guys they got back there that are healthy, that have been playing back there, have been playing really well together. And that carried all the way through the last quarter of the season, and it showed yesterday. What's your thoughts on the Bills defense going forward? We'll get into injuries here in a little bit, because Jordan Poyer's got a hamstring injury, and we saw Jacksonville pick on Jordan Hancock yesterday. So what's your thought on the Bills defense and what you saw yesterday, and kind of if that's a jumping point for the rest of the postseason? Because we have the history of Sean McDermott in the postseason the Bills tend to give up a ton of points as the playoffs progress.
More conservative.
The defense tends to give up more points. So what's your thoughts overall? Talk to me about the Bills defense.
I thought McDermott schemed up a really good defensive plan yesterday. I thought, like, you see national media people talking about like he was in his bag yesterday. Like I felt like he had control of that game. I do think the fourth quarter was a little bit shaky. Those 2 touchdown drives were not great defensively. They did get hosed, I thought, on that second drive. I think it was the second drive where that 3rd and 8, they called that Christian Benford PI, which was
pass interference,
pass interference / holding, which was nothing. That's a really tough call to make in a postseason game in the fourth quarter. Like that is a call you don't make ever in a regular season game, and you definitely don't make it in the postseason.
Right there, yeah.
And that was a 3rd down play. So that was a huge situation there. But like you had the Shaq Thompson interception. You mentioned it earlier. They had 1 sack on Trevor Lawrence, but I felt like watching that game, they had a ton of pressures, and they made him uncomfortable. And you saw a lot of the balls that left his hand were kind of wobblers. Like, there were a lot of ducks that came out of his hand.
Yeah.
They had a couple deflections. They kind of took him off balance. And I think if you're not going to get sacks, they only had 1 sack for 2 yards yesterday, so they really didn't get a lot of sacks. If you can make him uncomfortable and make him 3rd and 10 if he misses an incomplete pass because you made him uncomfortable, that's as good as a sack. You get him the ball back. Like, that is the same thing as a sack, in the sense of you did what you were supposed to do there. So I thought up front they were good. Pass defensive-wise, they were very good. Outside of the last couple drives, that Poyer injury, and he's not going to play this week because he's out with the hamstring injuries.
Yeah.
They have to find a way to.
Yeah.
I like Jordan Hancock. I liked him coming out of college, but he's a day 3 pick that has not played a ton this year. Like,
Right.
I don't know where they go in the safety room. Do they move Cam Lewis back there? Like,
Savage, I guess.
Savage could be an option. I just think you probably need more of a veteran guy back there than Jordan Hancock. Like, Jordan Hancock might be more explosive and maybe more athletic than some of these guys. But we saw with Poyer, for this defense secondary to work, you don't need to be the most athletic guy anymore. You just need a guy to be in the right spot at the right time. So that Poyer injury is going to be really tough to kind of combat Saturday against Denver. But I thought they were in their bag. Like, I thought the rush defense was not good again yesterday, which was very concerning again.
Which I don't mean to cut you off, but like, why did Jacksonville just not try to run the ball more?
Why did they go away from Tootin? Tootin had 4 carries for 51 yards.
Yeah,
12.8 yards a pop. Like, the Bills, I guess they did a good job of I thought in the second half they actually stopped the run a lot better than they did in the first half. So they made second half adjustments. Pass defense when Poyer went out was a little suspect, but like, Trevor Lawrence had a 30 QBR through 2 interceptions. Yeah, they made his life not a living hell because he had 3 touchdowns, but they took him off balance. They pressured him. I thought McDermott had a really good game, and like, I know we've talked about Terrell Bernard being out, and is the defense better when Terrell Bernard's not in the game? Shaq Thompson, Dorian Williams, and Matt Milano, I thought, played really well yesterday in the pass defense. Like, Matt Milano seemed like he was all over the place. Shaq Thompson had an interception. Like, I thought, didn't Shaq Thompson almost had a second interception? The ball just kind of landed right before his hands. Bishop almost had another interception. And then he thrown, like, Christian Benford was great. I know he gave up a touchdown, but he was still good. And are we watching like 2018 Trey White? Like, that was how about, I know he had the deflection that led to the Cole Bishop interception, but how about that post route that Lawrence threw? I think it was to Brenton Strange, where White almost had an interception.
He got right in there.
But if White is not getting anything on that ball, that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Did they kick a field goal? I think they kicked the field goal.
I think they got a field goal on that drive.
So that's 4 points right there. Like, you saved 4 points. Like, I thought White was all over the place. We'll see if they get Maxwell Harrison back. That's not a bad ad there to get some more speed on the outside and rotate with White. But I'm interested to see what they do with this Poyer injury. But I thought McDermott had a nice A- game. I thought it was a very good defensive game outside of a little bit in the fourth quarter when it was a little shaky.
Yeah, I think too. And a lot of people talking about Tre'Davious White and how he's been playing since I think like week 6. He's like one of the top corners in the league. He doesn't have all the gaudy stats like the interceptions and stuff like that. But I feel like a lot of his confidence went away especially after the second injury that he had, that really bad injury that he had, the second one. Unfortunately, he was released by the Bills. It was kind of like a cap savings move. Like, we don't know if you're going to be able to come back and be who you were. And I feel like there was just not that confidence boost that he had when he was playing. Then he comes back to the Bills, and I feel like he's kind of, a mentor for Maxwell Hairston, and then Hairston goes down, and I feel like his confidence has just been growing and growing and growing each week. And I'm not going to sit here and say he's 2018 Tre'Davious White, who was an all-pro, but I feel like he's a really good corner opposite of Christian Benford, and it's working really well. And being back in McDermott's system, I think, has helped him a ton. I think that's where he thrived when he was drafted in 2017. I think that's when he was coming up through the ranks as like one of the top corners. It was in the McDermott system, and I think it's kind of helped him out a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see if Hairston is good to go. How much are we going to see of Hairston, number one, since he hasn't played for 2 weeks? And then do you take snaps away from Trey, knowing that he's giving you experience? He's been in the postseason. He's been there. He was just there this past Sunday. So it's going to be really interesting to see. And the safety position, we talked about Jordan Poyer a while ago. Like, what you don't have in physical attributes you make up with mental toughness, right? Like just help other guys get in the right spot. Put yourself in the right spot by doing whatever you see pre-snap, post-snap, whatever that is. And the Bills are going to miss that. I hope it's not going to linger. And if the Bills beat the Broncos, hopefully he's available for the next game because they definitely need him. He's definitely a leader on that team and in the locker room. So
it's kind of funny how that has been a narrative, not a narrative, but like how
it's insane.
It's not even a narrative. It's correct. It's true. Like a narrative is not always true in the sense, but like Poyer's been great for this team. And I never thought I would say that after he left for Miami.
Well, the two guys that we're going to talk about here on the injury report, the two guys that are not going to be out here this week and one's out for the rest of the season are two guys that the Bills brought back that it was a huge deal in the offseason because why do we just keep recycling players? And of course, I'm talking about Gabe Davis, who come to find out he did tear his ACL and he's done for the year, which kind of stinks because I feel like he never really got into a rhythm of being in the lineup. And when he did, he played. He would have 3 catches for 40 yards, and that's what you asked him to do. So that kind of stinks. He is out for the year. Jordan Poyer with the hamstring injury. I haven't really heard much on if that's going to put him out this week, but hamstring injuries at this time of the year seem to bite the Bills in the what in the second.
McDermott said he was week to week, which makes me feel like he's not going to. When McDermott says week to week, they usually don't play that first game.
Yeah, and hamstring injuries can linger too. Like they can be like a 3 to 4 week deal to where it's just you have to get the right treatment. You try to test it in practice, and you try not to push yourself too hard because it hasn't healed properly. Like it's tough. So we'll see.
You mentioned receivers about Gabe Davis. Curtis Samuel's practice window opened.
So did Ed Alvers.
That's intriguing too. But like you said, elevated receiver Curtis Samuel seems like he would be in over Mecole Hardman. Like I feel like that would be.
Mecole Hardman's. It's tough because when he was the game that he played, they put him on the punt return duties. He fumbled one. What's that?
Is that Tampa when he played?
I'd have to go back and look. You could be right, but he had one return, then he fumbled one, and then they took him off.
And then he had like a mysterious injury.
Was it the Tampa game? Because they threw a bunch of deep passes that game. Like they were just trying to chuck it to everybody downfield, and he got one of those deep targets. And then they got Cooks the week after that because they had to put him. He got injured. Was it the next week? And then they had to put him on IR or whatever, and then they released him, and then that's when they signed Brandon Cooks and all that stuff. But Mecole Hardman's a weird one to me because I think McDermott likes guys that he knows have been there before. And Curtis Samuel, say what you want. He did play in the postseason last year. He had a couple good plays for the Bills.
He had a touchdown against Denver last year.
But Mecole Hardman's won Super Bowls. So I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know what they value at this point. Samuel hasn't been practicing or doing things with the team for a while. Hardman's been on the practice squad after they brought him back, after they released him, then brought him back. So to me, I would think Hardman would be the guy. I don't know. It's a tough one. And it stinks that we're having this conversation about who the Bills' 5th wide receiver is when they've had like 19 receivers on the roster this year, and none of them are healthy. None of them are even worth being that wide receiver 5, but yet here we are, guys that Tyrell Shavers, we're counting on you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy that we would have said that in the offseason because Joshua Palmer and Curtis Samuel are on IR. So it's crazy. Like, what's your thoughts on let's talk about the wide receiver room because that's interesting. Let's talk about, like, who's your 5? Who would be your 5 this Sunday? You have to force Hardman in there, right?
What about Steven Gosnell?
I mean, he's been on the team all year.
I'm half G1 Virginia Tech, so I like him.
Could he be worse than Mecole Hardman?
Well,
if you're just
Mecole Hardman conversation, like who's a better wide receiver right now? I think Curtis Samuel is probably
Curtis
a little
Samuel, 100%.
But Mecole Hardman gives you a little bit more of a different. Or is the problem is the Gabe Davis replacement is Tyrell Shavers / Keon Coleman. It's Keon Coleman. Like Curtis Samuel and Mecole Hardman are not replacing Gabe Davis. The problem is you already have those type of receivers with Shakir and Cooks at this point. And Cooks is clearly valued in this offense, is going to get a lot of snaps, as he should. But you make a good point. Like Curtis Samuel hasn't been practicing. So like I don't even know where Curtis Samuel's at. Like they opened his 21-day window. So
Right.
it's 21 days. That's 3 weeks. That's not a 2-day window. It's not
Between
like
now and the Super Bowl.
So like he could not we could never see him again. Like
Right.
Ed Oliver's a little different because there's been more talk about Ed Oliver because of the magnitude of who
Ed
Ed Oliver.
Oliver.
Yeah, who he is and what he means to this defense. If Curtis Samuel's fully healthy, which he's probably not, I would probably lean towards Curtis Samuel just because I think he gives you more dimensions in the passing game, the screen pass. He can take the top off the defense. He was good against Denver last year. So I would probably lean towards Curtis Samuel if he's fully healthy. But my guess would probably be 𝐸𝐵 Harbin. That would be my guess.
So let's do it this way. So do you think the Bills' offense yesterday was vanilla? As opposed to like you watch
for three quarters,
let me phrase it this way. You watch some of the stuff that the Bears did, you watch some of the stuff that the 49ers did, and you think those two head coaches are really good offensive minds. We're told that Joe Brady should be right there with those guys in consideration for head coaching job. It was pretty basic offense yesterday. And I'm not saying that Joe Brady's blown us away over the last 2 years with all these crazy like flea flickers and bells and whistles and stuff like that. But I went back and watched the game again last night, and I was watching for a couple different reasons. I really wanted to watch some defensive stuff, but watching the Bills offense, it was pretty straightforward. Now, was Josh doing some things at the line and moving some guys in motion? Sure. But we didn't get the flea flickers. We didn't get the end arounds. We didn't get the jet sweeps. We didn't get that stuff. So when you're asking somebody about this wide receiver room, you look at the two guys that could be available would be Curtis Samuel if they choose to bring him back from his 21-day window, or 𝐸𝐵 Harbin if they choose to elevate him from the practice squad. It's like either one of those guys, I think it's a coin toss because you're going to have to ask them the way Joe Brady's been running the offense to actually run routes. They're going to have to run routes, and I don't know if either of those guys really impressed me with their route running ability, and they haven't really when they were here, when they were playing. So that's why I ask, like, I don't know. Thinking back on the offense, like it looked like pretty straightforward. Just put a guy in motion and just go run some routes, and then the occasional bubble screen to Khalil Shakir. So I don't
think it was anything crazy. I think the Kincaid pass, that touchdown pass was kind of, we've seen it before. We've seen it a couple times in the past.
Yeah, Brady likes that corner.
We saw it under Dorsey too. Like that's been probably more of a Josh Allen play he likes than like.
You know how many times I saw that play this weekend in every single game? That exact play
all the time.
It was either the left corner or the right. It was like
the quarterback hesitates and then hits the guy. Yeah, it's a common play. I don't think he was anything crazy yesterday. The only thing is, I think he schemed up some nice targets for Shakir. Like I think that was where they schemed up some nice, easy looks for Shakir and let him use his legs and make plays. And like they actually got Shakir the ball in moments where he could. Because he's been like he's still top 3 this year in yards after catch as a receiver. Like he's still been great. It's been a little weird this year with offensively with the receivers, unlike the last couple years. But I thought Shakir was good. I don't think Brady was anything special yesterday, but I thought he scored 27 points. Like I think 27 points wins you the game on Saturday.
Against the Broncos, I absolutely think
I can tell you that. Like I don't know if Denver's offense is in that potent of it all. Like I honestly think. This might come back and bite me in the ass because stuff does, and people make stupid takes. We saw it all week with the Jaguars Bills. I honestly think the Bills probably played the best offense they'll face in the AFC playoffs.
100%
against Jacksonville. Like if you look at the teams, I don't think Denver. The Bills might lose to Denver, and my point still could be true in the sense of like the Bills defense just didn't play well. But on paper, Jaguars had Denver's not a better offense. The winner of Steelers, Houston's definitely not a better offense. Doesn't matter who wins that game right now, whoever's winning right now. And I don't think and what I saw from the Patriots on Sunday night against the Chargers, the Patriots are not. So Jaguars the Bills probably played the best offense they will all postseason. The AFC, NFC aside, we don't have to talk about that obviously. But in the AFC, I think they played the best offense they faced. Does that mean anything? No, they could lose 17-13 on Saturday, and the defense played great. So that might not matter, but defensively, I think that's something that you can look at. But I know we were talking about. I don't know how I got the defense there, but You're talking about offense. We're talking about around the league.
So you brought up the quarterbacks, and that's a really good kind of a segue. And then we'll talk about Josh here before we kind of touch briefly. There's a fly in here that's driving.
Yeah,
me
I
nuts.
see. Like even though you're mad at something, or there's a fly.
You talk about the quarterbacks, and we've heard all week about the pressure on Josh Allen because of the three other guys that I'm not even going to name their names that aren't in the postseason, right? Because it's been
Joe Burrow's made the playoffs twice in 6 years, so maybe we probably shouldn't put his name in it.
I'm just going off of what
I know.
Talking heads, and I've been exhausted from trying to rationalize their train of thought, but I think there's more pressure on guys like Bo Nix. There was more pressure on Drake May. There was more pressure on Trevor Lawrence because are you going to be back here next year? At this point where you're at, are you going to be this good next year? I know Josh Allen will be back here next year. A lot of people were like, you can't take anything for granted. I can damn sure see what happened this year. The landscape of the AFC flipped on its head, and the one that was left standing was Josh Allen. And that comes down to him and coaching. And Sean McDermott's not going anywhere. He's going to be here next year. So is there really pressure on Josh Allen to get it done right now? We want him to, yes. But Bo Nix, you better put your big boy pants on Sunday because you're going up against the guy who people think is like the Dragon Slayer. Like, Trevor Lawrence yesterday. Like, have you been on a 13-win team before, Trevor Lawrence? Bo Nix, have you been on a 14-win team? Drake May, you are way ahead of schedule, buddy. Are you going to get right back here next year? I don't think so. I don't think that the Patriots are going to be 14-3 next year. I really don't.
No.
So to me, I feel like Josh Allen, I can say almost with 100% certainty that the Bills are going to be vying for the one seed in the AFC next year. They're going to be fighting for it because that's what they've done. And that's what they're going to continue to do as long as Josh Allen is under the helm. So
my biggest pet peeve about that argument was the fact that you had people arguing that talk about football for a living, that played football for a living, that just take away that there's 52 other guys on an active roster and that there's 10 guys on the field with Josh Allen. Like, the fact that we had Ryan Clark from ESPN say those things about Josh Allen this week was just asinine. Like, that should not be a thing. Like, also Ryan Clark should understand, like, he played defensive back. Like, so was he pointless? Like, what was the point of Ryan Clark playing defense then? If it's all on the quarterback. Like, so why was Ryan Clark like busting his
what's funny? I found a clip that whenever Ryan Clark says something stupid going forward, it's Tom Brady throwing an 81-yard pass. I don't even remember the receiver. It was not a big name receiver. Beating Ryan Clark, and he's just jogging down the field trying to catch the guy. And then they just pan to him, and he's just standing there like.
But when did football become not a team game? Like, obviously, I'm not going to sit here and tell you the quarterback's not the most important position. Like, look at the last 10 Super Bowl winners. Those quarterbacks are all elite. Like Mahomes. You have Matthew Stafford's won a Super Bowl. Like Joe Burrow wasn't. Like, you have elite quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, right? Jalen Hurts, a little bit aside, but that's an elite roster. But then that proves the point of it's a team game. Like, the fact that Ryan Clark basically said even if his receivers, Josh Allen's receivers, drop every ball, it's still on Josh Allen. Like, no, it's not. Like, it's obviously not. There's pressure on everyone. My dad always brings it up to me. He's in his 60s, and he always brings it up to me in the sense that because I wasn't alive to watch it. But Dan Marino got to a Super Bowl in his first year. Yeah. And then never went back. But everyone just assumed Dan Marino was going to go back. You mentioned Drake May. Like, are you ever going to go back? Like, does Jalen Hurts ever go back? He might. Does Joe Burrow ever go back when you get to the Super Bowl? Like, when you get to a Super Bowl, you got to take that chance. Mahomes has taken those chances, and he's gone back a ton. But, like, do you ever go back? So there's pressure on everyone, especially there's pressure on young quarterbacks because Bo Nix is going to want to get paid. Drake May's going to want to get paid. I'm not saying those both guys can't be game changers. I think Drake May has a chance to be more of a game changer than Bo Nix does. But all of a sudden, when your quarterback gets paid, and it's going to be more money than Josh Allen's going to get paid because it keeps going up and up and up and up and up, guess what? That second DB that's really good, well, he's on the Commanders. That second receiver, he's on the Packers. That right tackle that you love so much, well, no, he's on the Raiders now because you can't afford him. And you need your quarterback to make up for things. So, you never take for granted coming here, and I get it. Like, I think Josh Allen is one of the few quarterbacks that will always be back. But you also have to take into account, like, it's a team game. Like, if the Bills scored 48 points yesterday and their defense gave up 49, I'm not going to sit here and say it's Josh Allen's fault. That was not the case yesterday because Josh Allen was great and Josh Allen is great. But the narrative that this is like because there's no Mahomes and there's no Lamar. Well, like, yeah, but there's other teams that you're playing that are really good. Like the Bills were underdogs yesterday. They were not favorite in the game. They were on we're just, for some reason, we like to spin narratives if we just make it all about one player. Like it's a team. We saw it last year with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Right.
Like the Eagles won a Super Bowl. I thought Jalen Hurts was good in the postseason last year. I thought he was good in the Super Bowl. And he gets a lot of hate. And he was not good yesterday against the Niners. But that Eagles team was legit. Defensively legit. Receivers were legit. They had Saquon Barkley. That O-line was like, they were so talented. That's why they smoked the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. It's a team game. Like Josh Allen, we've seen before. He can't do everything himself. Like Joe Burrow can't do everything himself. And everyone puts him in that list of like, he's not in the playoffs, but he's been in the playoffs twice in 6 years.
Right.
I just like, why do we like, I just feel like you ruin the sport of football by making that talking point. Like, it's not all about the quarterbacks. It is a lot of it because they have to be so good, but there's a team game. It's a team game. What if your field goal kicker misses the field goal and you lose? Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
Right.
Like, I'm not blaming Lamar Jackson for that. I'm not coming on here telling you, well, Lamar Jackson should have done more. Well, no, he got them in field goal range and they set up a 44-yard field goal. The third phase of the game didn't execute. That's not Lamar Jackson's fault in that game.
Yeah, and just a couple more points on that. Like when Tampa beat Kansas City in the Super Bowl, did Tom Brady beat Patrick Mahomes, or did the Tampa Bay defense just completely annihilate?
The Tampa Bay defensive line beat Patrick. Like the end. Yeah,
but Tom Brady, that makes Tom Brady the GOAT, and that's his 7th Super Bowl and all this stuff, and he's the GOAT because of that. Patrick Mahomes, I can count more than one Super Bowl that he's won because Steve Spagnuolo has crushed teams with his defensive game plans in the postseason. And it's not because Patrick Mahomes won completely postal on other teams' defenses. It's because the defense from the Chiefs has been really, really good. If you watched that game last night, that disgusting, gross game that I was hoping was going to be exciting after we had 3 really good games leading up to it, like that game, like the defense of the Patriots just did whatever they wanted to. The Chargers had no answers because their defense was like, it was like 3 and out, Herbert sack, 3 and out, Herbert sack. Well, they got a first down, 3 and out. And it's just like the Patriots, if they would have played a team last night that had a decent offensive line, they probably would have, they might have lost that game last night. And so it's like, to me, it's not just about 1 versus 1. It's not boxing. We're not sparring. It's not, you know what I mean?
UFC.
I hate that. Yeah, I hate that. So let's talk about Josh Allen real
golf,
quick.
where the only person you can blame is yourself.
Tennis. It's not tennis.
No.
You know, like,
yeah.
Let's talk about Josh Allen's injuries because you like me probably were a little scared yesterday. And it's not cool that they have a short week, but it is what it is, right? The head injury when Josh Hines Allen fell on top of him, the knee injury, that's when I was scared. I thought that I'm like, oh shit, this looks like this could be ACL because whenever quarterback sits down and they point to their knee, that's bad. And then the way he ran off the field, I'm like, oh shit. Then he hits his hand on a helmet. And then there's a couple other spots where he takes some really bad shots. Like,
did his ankle get twisted on one play?
Yeah. And he's apparently been playing with some fracture in his foot for the last month since the Cleveland game that they said was getting better, but I don't think it's better. I think he just gets shot up with cortisone or whatever, and he just goes out there. And this is a homer take, but has there been a quarterback that you've seen get this physically abused during the course of like a career, like Josh Allen's? He's constantly getting injured. Seemingly, we're finding out about things like after the game, during practice, throughout the week, where things are happening. He's always on the injury report for this, that. We could talk about the torn UCL. We could talk about the broken hand last year, and then he screwed up his other hand last year, the foot this year. Like, I don't know another quarterback that gets beat up as much as he does and just continues to play. And he led those 2 touchdown drives after he hit his hand on the helmet, and you could tell he was in pain. That's the same type of injury that Joe Burrow missed a half a season for hitting his hand on a guy's helmet. So what's your thoughts on Josh Allen? Are you concerned that this style that he plays and how he's going to want to put the cape on like yesterday with all the freaking tush pushes? And We know how Josh doesn't like to slide or go out of bounds and try to get the extra yards.
Well,
Are you
he did
concerned
slide
going
and then he
forward?
slid too early.
Like, is this shit sustainable? Is my point. Like, is Josh Allen getting, because it's year 8, it's getting to a point where it can't feel good anymore, period. If you're scoring touchdowns and you're blacking out when you celebrate in the end zone, whatever it is, like, it cannot continue to a point where his body is now going to be entering year 9 next year. Like he can't be taking this much
he
harm.
can't. No, I agree. He can't be taking those hits, but he seems like he likes to take those hits. Like,
I don't know, man. I think he likes pain.
He's a psychopath. Like, he's a good psychopath, not a bad psychopath. He's like a good psychopath. Like,
yeah,
the hits are on the tush push are tough. It's like him hitting his hand on Torrance's helmet. That's a fluke injury. Like, you can't help that.
Yeah.
But they definitely have limited the amount of times he's rushed this year.
Oh, for sure.
Like, they have. I think in the postseason, it's all bets are off, though. Like, I think in the postseason, it's a different animal. But this season, the injury he suffered against Cleveland, the only person you can blame is Josh Allen. Like, that was on him.
28-yard sack or whatever
Like, he needed to throw that ball away. And look, he actually has not done a great job of throwing the ball away this year. Like, that's just not been his thing this year. He's held the ball too long. He's taken a lot of sacks at times. So it's a little bit on him as well. And when he did slide against Jacksonville, he slid too early. So that was great. So when he actually slid, you're like, great, a little early. We needed you to slide, because then he ended up taking.
Josh Allen just can't win. Like, you want me to slide? I slid too early. You don't want me to slide? I slid. Damn it.
Dave, I think we saw once maybe yesterday or twice. Like, I know he rushed for 11 carries, but it was a lot of it was not a lot outside of the tush pushes. It was non-designed runs. The play breaks down. Like, you can't control that, but they have definitely limited the amount of times he's rushed the ball.
I'm just
yesterday just felt like we had about 80 QB sneaks. It just felt like every other drive it was like, we got a QB sneak opportunity. Like,
I'm just concerned with Denver being left potentially.
No, you're gonna play some,
not so much, but Houston. Like, I saw what Houston did to this offensive line.
Yeah, Houston's scary.
The Broncos' defensive line scares me a lot, and I know he's going to be doing a lot more of this stuff, but he's now doing it coming off of, who knows if he was concussed? Who knows what's up with his hand? Who knows what's up with his knee? Who knows what's up with his
foot? Well, the concussion was like a fluke injury too, because Josh Hines Allen had to put his on Josh Allen. Yeah, like, and look, right now, Houston-Pittsburgh, second quarter, it's 3-0. Sounds about Houston's driving right now, but that sounds about right in the sense of that type of game. But yeah, Houston defense is very good. I think Pittsburgh's defense is solid. I'm not overly concerned about it. I think New England's defense is solid too. They were good against the Chargers, but the Bills torched them when they played in Foxborough a couple weeks ago. And obviously,
because they didn't have Milton Williams, and he's back now. He's going to make all the difference in the world.
But look, I thought yesterday was a combination of a little bit of a flukiness when it came to the injuries. I just felt like it was just unlucky. Like, I was watching with my friend who's a Bills fan, and we were just like, it just keeps happening. Like what is going on? Like, it's just
it was so random. It was like every 4 plays, it was like, oh, dude, Josh is limping.
Yeah, you're like,
Josh is lean. Josh is lean. The last thing that any Bills fan wants to see is Josh Allen laying flat on his back or laying with his like face mask in the grass and he's not moving. Like, that's the last thing that I ever want to see.
Yeah. And he took every single snap.
He's
a warrior. He's a warrior.
I don't know if it's ever going to catch up to me, because it hasn't yet, to say like I'm concerned with Josh Allen for XYZ, because when it's the playoffs, he's just a completely different person than 99.9% of the quarterbacks that have played before him in the NFL are playing now. But my thing is, short week, he's probably not going to practice. They have to travel. You're going to want to install something for the Broncos that they haven't seen. So he's going to have to do something this week to get ready. But it's like, this shit just keeps piling up with this man year over year over year. And I'm not saying he's not a weapon and they shouldn't use him. I'm not saying he doesn't want to do it. I'm just saying, going forward, like, yes, now there's 3 games left potentially, right? And any game could be your last. So go gung-ho and give it everything you have, and all gas, no brakes, Josh Allen. But at some point, like, we're going to be thinking of Josh Allen like we thought about Ben Roethlisberger, where he's just a big figure in the pocket that is going to be passing the ball, runs when he needs to avoid a sack, and not just.
They did dial back the amount of times he's had runs this year.
Yeah, I mean, and
but he's also taken a ton of sacks.
Yeah, that's my point too. He got sacked 40 times this year.
I think the O-line took a little bit of a step back at times this year, but I also thought he held onto the ball way too many times this year, where he should have just released it.
Could be. All right. Well, let's give a brief 5 minutes on Denver. Give me your outlook real quick on what the Bills can do to be successful, what concerns you about the Broncos, and kind of how you see this game kind of playing out.
Their defense concerns me. I think they're very good defensively. They've been very good defensively this year. I'm not overly concerned that Bo Nix is going to be the reason we lose this game.
No.
Like, I don't know if Bo Nix is going to be a reason we lose this game. And look, Denver's won a ton of games in a row, but so did Jacksonville. Like, I know Denver lost to Jacksonville, but before that, they didn't lose since week 3. Denver wins just a bunch of close games. They beat the Eagles by 4. They beat the Jets by 2. They beat the Giants by 1. Beat the Texans by 3. Beat the Raiders by 3. Beat the Chiefs by 3. Beat the Commanders by 1. And then at a couple, they beat the Raiders by 7. They played a ton of close games. They don't really blow teams out.
Sounds like the Chiefs from last year.
It sounds like the Chiefs from last year, but they don't have Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Or Andy Reid, even though Sean Payton's a very good coach. They don't have either of those two. And then they lost to Jacksonville by 14. So by the transitive property, the Bills should win this game. But that's not how NFL is. That's not how you play NFL games. The Bills should win this game based off that. But yeah, Denver plays a lot of close games. It's a lot of low scoring games. It's a lot of the 20s and teens outside of a couple games. I like Dobbins and I like RJ Harvey, but I don't know if they're ETN. They can run the ball pretty well, but I'm not overly concerned about the running game. I'm concerned about the Bills stopping anybody's run game. So that's probably a different conversation. And they have Cortland Sutton. They have Troy Franklin. They got some weapons. I don't know if Bo Nix is going to be able to do enough just to win the game, but they haven't needed him to do enough this year. It's been more of he's been a game manager. He's been a little bit better than a game manager. And at times I'm like, Denver's frauds, but they just keep winning football games.
They don't score a ton of points.
Are you frauds if you just keep winning ugly, low-scoring games? I guess
everybody said the Chiefs were frauds and they made the Super Bowl last year.
Maybe you're not frauds. Maybe you just win ugly games that I hate watching, and that's probably what
Denver's teams win ugly games. I mean,
so their defense can win a game. We've seen it countless times. That's what I'm concerned about, but I don't know if I'm overly concerned about Bo Nix. I'm really not. I was more concerned about Trevor Lawrence than I am with Bo Nix.
If you had to rank them, it would be Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, Bo Nix, if I was to worry about playing those quarterbacks. I think Drake May is probably the guy that I feel like we've seen it. I mean, he torched the Bills. They scored a ton of points on the Bills, and then he beat the Bills back in week 5 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, to me, I don't know why I have this feeling, because I knew going into the Jacksonville game that the Bills were going to have a tough time running the ball, which I was concerned with because that meant that Josh was going to have to find guys that were reliable targets to make plays when he needed them to make plays. It's nice to have Kincaid back. Hopefully he gets more snaps this week. And as the postseason progresses, if the Bills progress to the postseason, he gets more and more snaps and more targets. I think the recipe is Cook, Shakir, and Kincaid. And then everything else is just kind of sprinkled in there. But I have a feeling that Cook is going to have a good game on Sunday. Saturday. I know everybody says that the Broncos can stop the run. I feel like the Bills are going to be able to run the ball. I don't know why. I feel like there's been games this year when the Bills have played really good run fit teams and they've done well. Now, it didn't happen yesterday, but I just have this feeling like he's due for one of those games, either where he has one of those big game-breaking runs or he just has a really consistent good, which will help the Bills ultimately. That will just be paramount when you're not at 2nd and 9 every drive, or you're 3rd and 7 because you run the ball twice and you get 3 yards total. That will be nice to see. So, again, I think it's going to be a tough game. I don't like the travel on the short week with Josh being dinged up and being short wide receivers. The elevation.
Playing in Denver's tough. Josh, a good fan base.
Brandon Beane, however you feel about Brandon Beane, told us when he drafted him, this is why he drafted him, because he can play in weather. So we'll see what happens. And we've seen Josh Allen play in 0-degree weather, snow flurries, blizzards, snow globes, rain. So hopefully it will all work out.
What's the over/under in this game? I'm
Bills are. I don't know, but the Bills are favored by a
they
point
are
and a half.
favored. I know. Let's see the over/under.
I don't know what the over/under is. It's got to be like, what is it?
46.5.
I think that's high.
That seems really high.
I think it's going to be like 24-17 ish.
Yeah,
like 40 points, 41 points.
Like
that's just
right
me.
now,
I'm not a huge gambler and I don't bet on anything really, but I just feel like I'm not concerned with Denver putting up like 400 yards of offense and just putting up like 35.
They outside of the game against Dallas, they haven't really done it. And Dallas's defense is
Dallas's defense is atrocious. So
and Denver's like they're 15th. Like if you look at passing yards and rushing yards per game, like they're 11th in passing yards per game. They're 15th in rushing yards per game. Like they're right around where you think they would be in terms of offensive metrics and offensive stats. Like they're nothing special. They're not bad, obviously. They're 14-3 for a reason. Like they can't be awful offensively to be 14-3, but they're not that much of an explosive offense where this might not have to be you're not gonna, I don't know if this is gonna be a shootout, but
no, I don't think so.
You're gonna have to run the ball. Time of possession is gonna be really important in this game. Like limit the turn. Like you can't be turning the ball over in this game. Like this game feels like you can't be giving Denver short fields. Like if you're at midfield, don't force it. Like punching the ball is not the worst idea to pin them back. Like it feels like it sounds boring, but it feels like that type of game. 46.5 seems like a lot of points in my opinion. Though
this time of year, like you said earlier, I don't care if they win 3-2. I don't care if they win the Super Bowl 3-2. I don't. No,
you got to find a way. You got to find a way to win football games. And look, to be fair, the Bills' special teams yesterday was not great. Outside of, I thought Prater was good. He made all his kicks, which is always good.
Other than Ray Davis, the Bills' special teams has been trash all year.
Yeah, how do you say the punter's name? Wisnowski. He's terrible.
Well, I don't think that was the plan going into the season. Just like Matt Prater wasn't the plan. And I honestly, hot take, I don't think that Tyler Bass is on the roster next year.
What is Tyler Bass doing right now, I think?
Well, he's on IR.
No, I know that. Do you think he's at the games? I don't know. I was thinking about this yesterday.
I just think that
they have Matthew Wright, obviously.
There's an out in his contract. Matthew Wright's a good young kicker. And
Prater has not been a liability this year outside of like the injuries, but like when he's just kicking.
Typically, if you have a 41-year-old kicker, this is what you get historically with a 41-year-old kicker. When the games go later into the year, they have leg injuries because that's all they do. It's just like asking like other guys that like do things with their upper body, like why is your upper body sore all the time? Because that's you know what I'm saying? Like you don't think that quarterbacks put their arms on ice after every single game?
I think Josh Allen had an ice bath in the back of the plane heading home last night. That's what I think he did when it came to Josh. But no, I thought special teams yesterday was not good. And Ray Davis was the punts were at times were okay, but Ray Davis was.
I just hate it for Ray Davis because he gets nominated as an All-Pro and then he fumbles them.
His own guy clocked him too.
Oh, he got jacked like that. I wouldn't have held onto the ball. Nobody probably would have held onto the ball the way he got hit. So
and they also should have recovered that. They know, like I don't know how they did not recover that too. So that was can't be doing that against Denver, in my opinion. You can't be giving them short field like that. Cannot be happening.
Well, you got to win the. Here's the thing: like the Bills really. Everybody's talking about how the Bills won the turnover battle yesterday. Did they? Because the turnover that they got that gave them the turnover advantage was the one that just ended the game.
Yeah, it's a false pretense. It's false.
Yeah, it was 1-1 throughout the game. So the Bills need to get back to what they did well in games that they won this year and what they did all of last year. And they need to focus on getting turnovers and things like that. So, but yeah, I'll be back this week doing some more of the Bills Broncos previews, analysis, breakdowns, all that good stuff. I'll bring you guys news and updates as it comes. Peter, we'll be back Monday. Yeah. Hopefully another victory Monday, brother.
We'll be back Monday.
And we'll be talking about the AFC Championship game.
I'm hoping.
Against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That would be awesome. They're losing 7-3 right now, but that would be Bills Steelers AFC Championship game would be the Martin Scorsese meme.
Oh, cinema.
Absolute cinema. That would be great.
All right. That's Peter DiBiase. I'm Dave Myers. As always, we'll see you next time on First and 5, Built in Buffalo Network. Go Bills.
Go Bills.